Welcome back to Out Loud. It is Steve and Mal. Today's cornered celebrity is recording superstar Howard Jones. Howard, how are you? It's good to have you back.
Great. Great. Thank you very much, Steve and Mal. It's great to be here. Yeah, I'm
I know
good.
that you got a big tour going on. You're in support with Boy George and Culture Club, and you have new music coming out later this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about new music coming out.
Oh, so I just told the world.
No, I mean, I was hoping to, but I've sort of run out of time. It's going to be next year now before there's a new album. I mean, I've just done one new album called Dialogue that has been out recently, but yeah, it's I'm going to have to wait till I get back to England and maybe start the new album in the new year. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
So you've got lots going on as well with your tour in October in the UK. I hear you're playing the Palladium as well. That's a big one to be playing, isn't it?
Yeah, we're playing all my favorite sort of theaters in the UK. They're really lovely buildings, and yeah, we're getting across the whole country really, Wales, Scotland, and England. So yeah, really looking forward to that because it's going to be like a celebration, of the 40 years of me releasing my first single. So yeah,
40 years, and I'm only 38, but no one seems to believe that anymore.
Nobody will believe that, Steve. Nobody will believe that.
Can you believe it's been 40 years? I mean, seriously, can you?
Well, I can really. People do ask me that quite a lot. I can believe it's 40 years because when I look back on everything that I've done, how many shows I've done and how many albums I've made and how many countries I've visited and it seems like it needs that amount of time.
So Howard, how did your journey start in music? Where did it all begin?
Well, I mean, I came from a very musical family. So my mum and dad, they weren't professionals, but they were both singers. My father had this wonderful tenor voice, and my mother was a great singer as well. They're both Welsh. So the tradition in Wales is that wherever you go and visit relatives or friends, that you're expected to perform something, a song, play a bit of piano, or some poetry. And so I grew up in that environment, and they tell me that from the age of 2 that I was singing songs and doing a little dance in the middle of the room when people came to visit. So then when I was 7, they wanted me to learn the piano. I found that very difficult because I had to do practice, and teachers were a bit sort of odd. And I wanted to be out playing football and cricket, but gradually I got over that. And at the age of 9, I heard something on the radio, and I kind of worked out how to play it at the piano, and that was sort of opened the gates to me. Then I was sort of hearing music and then playing it on the piano and then composing my own pieces, and so it really got serious after that, and they couldn't keep me away from the piano. It was like an obsession,
Okay.
So you started with melodies first, then lyrics?
When I was the first band I was in at school, it was purely instrumental. So I was composing music, and I knew a poet friend at school who wrote like reams of poetry, which I used to set. It was very difficult to set to music. So I think that really stood me in good stead in the future, because I was able then to sort of take any line of lyric and put some music to it.
So how did you make that transition of getting that kind of first break with a record company and getting your sign in? How did you do that?
Well, it was a long journey. I realized that music was the thing I wanted to do, and so I went to music college in Manchester and studied piano, proper classical piano, and was playing on the radio in the evenings, from 2 till 6 in the morning, and playing in bands. I got halfway through the course and I thought, actually, I really don't want to be playing dead people's music anymore. I want to be.
Say it as it is, Howard. Just say it as it is.
I want to be playing my own music. So I left, went back to live with my parents, and came up with this idea of a one-man electronic band, because there was nobody around that I really wanted to play with. So, just at that time, synthesizers you could buy them down your local shop. They were just coming out, and drum machines. And I thought, oh man, I think I could do something with this. And so I started playing pubs and clubs and did 2 years of like sort of 200 gigs a year,
Wow.
and built up a local following. And then we finally took it to London, played at the Marquee, and all the record companies came down and nobody wanted to sign me except
Right, okay.
except one guy called Paul Conroy. And he got it. He got what I was doing, and he saw the reaction of the crowd. And so I got signed to WEA, and it was like
Wow.
the best place I could have possibly have been.
It was
Uh,
meant to be.
it was meant to be, yeah.
I mean, I certainly understand the need and desire to be
Mm.
one person in a band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, Howard, I need to kind of inform you. Steve has got this dream and ambition of wanting to be a one-man band. Kind of, I can see him with cymbals on his legs and things. But he's desperate to begin, to be a kind of pop star, but that's never going to happen. So we need to break the news to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's things about it that are great. Obviously, you have a lot of control over everything. You don't have to fight with other band members or on how loud their instrument is. But the other side of it is that it's quite lonely. So you're on stage, you have to make that connection with the audience. There's nobody to turn to get moral support on the stage. So as I went on, I added more and more people to the band, and and it just becomes more fun when you're doing a lot of touring. I mean, I did tour the world as a one-man show with Jed, my amazing mime artist, who so he did that. But once you've done it, then you want to move on and do more different things, and that's what I've continued to do. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier that you performed at Live Aid. How did it feel to be part of something as big as that? It must have been mind-blowing.
It was. That's the only word for it. It was So I was on tour in America at the time, on the West Coast, and with the full band, the Dream Into Action band, and cancelled a bunch of shows to flew back to London to do it with my backing singers, Aphrodisiac, and it was just, I don't know. I mean, I felt that I had to be part of that, because Bob Geldof said you had to have sold 1 million albums in the last 6 months to be able to be eligible to be in that group, right? And I fortunately I'd done that, and I knew Midge as well. I mean, it was just the most amazing day. I mean, maybe it'll never be repeated, that. And the audience, there's 2 billion people watching around the globe, so the pressure was intense. But as soon as I got on stage and started playing the piano, I got to the chorus of Hide and Seek, which I did that day, and the audience joined in with me and sang the whole song with me. And from that moment, I could relax and kind of enjoy the fact that I was there participating in this most amazing event. And, met David Bowie, met Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney, flew in helicopters with Queen. I mean, it was just like endless experiences that all packed into one day. It was amazing.
If Bob called you tomorrow and he said he wanted to do it again, would you be all in?
Well, I would. I know that he wouldn't do that. I know he would. He doesn't want to do it again. He knows that was a special thing. But I tell you, he did do something called Live 8, which was using like younger bands from the younger generation, which is great. But at the start of that event, they actually played a clip from my performance. It was one of the few that they picked to play, to reference back to the original Live Aid. So I was so proud of that. I was really, really happy. Yeah.
So how much kind of work has gone into the rehearsals for this tour that you're going to be kicking off with Culture Club and Boy George?
Well, it's been a combination. We've been developing this show over the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
With the band. So we've toured it extensively. We did a whole thing in Europe. We've done the UK, done festivals. And so the show is well rehearsed and in shape. We've got one song that I'm adding to the set, for the Culture Club tour. But the rest of it is like, it's wall to wall hits. I mean,
right.
I can't fit them all in. What a nice position to be in.
Amazing position. Which one's not on the song list?
It feels like, I could celebrate 40 years by playing songs that everyone knows. It's like such a privilege, you know. It's so nice to be able to do that, and I'm just going to go for it, you know.
You remember the first time that you met Boy George?
What, the first time I met him? Yeah. Well, I mean, I did tour with him like about 2 decades ago. We did an American tour.
Okay.
I met George then, but I've seen him many times since then. We've done, you know, on various festivals and things, so yeah, so it'd be great to. I mean, I really like George. I think he's a really amazing, influential person.
He is,
Yeah.
and very funny. He was on one of my old shows years ago. Same
Yeah.
with Terry Nunn from Berlin. Have you known Terry long?
I've met Terry a few times. I've seen her perform, and she's so great, so charismatic, and love the show. So it's going to be a great night for people. This.
I could definitely hear you and Terry doing something later on.
Definitely.
My little wizard feelings for 24.
Yeah, well, okay. I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah,
And,
you're just like Harry Potter, that wizard feelings coming through. Just yeah.
My
see
wow.
how she feels about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love her voice. I love your voice, and I mean, I've been doing this a lifetime, so I can certainly hear your voices together.
Yeah,
Oh,
it'd be great. Well,
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
Completely.
Well, we'll see how things, you know, go on the tour, and maybe we can do something.
And Steve, just be reminded, Howard and Terry will not be giving you 20% of a management fee for making this happen. He's trying, Howard. He's going to try a
my
language.
retirement.
Get
My retirement.
So Howard, over kind of 40 years, if you had to pick 4 things
Wow.
over each decade, and it's quite a big question, what would be your 4 most memorable things as an artist from the 80s, 90s and onwards?
Oh, and onwards. Oh, well, I would say, you know, the 80s would have to be Live Aid.
Live Aid number 1, okay.
Mhm.
You know, because I mean that would be sort of a lifetime.
Yeah, never to be repeated.
Yeah. Going on to the 90s. Wow. I mean,
Yeah, I might have a hard time remembering
you know,
that.
my golden decade of the 80s. So
Yeah.
but the thing is, I did a tour with my friend Carol Steele. We did this piano and percussion tour, and we played. It was such fun doing that. You know, I took a grand piano on the road.
Wow.
Wow.
That was that meant that we didn't make any money at all on that tour.
Right.
I just say that.
But it was like the first night, right? We were playing this very famous club in Toronto. I don't think it's there anymore. It was called the El Mocambo, and the Stones played it at one point. But the club is upstairs. We had to get this piano up the stairs.
Oh my God.
It wouldn't fit.
Oh my
So
God.
the roadies took a sledgehammer and took chunks out of the ceiling to get the piano up there.
Oh my
I
God.
left my mark on that place.
Oh my God.
Did you get the bill?
No, they didn't seem to mark. Well, I don't know if they know. If they knew
Wow.
you had to do that, but we, you know, because it was Don Henley's touring piano, so it was,
Oh,
Right.
it was a really good sounding piano. So
Yeah.
I couldn't do the show without it, right? So it had to go up there. So we got it up there in the end. But
So if they're listening to this interview, it's you that brought the ceiling down, literally.
it was me. It was me. Well, I didn't actually.
funny.
It was the roadies, all right.
Okay. So we've got Live Aid. We've now got the roadies to blame for the grand piano. Okay.
Yeah.
Any more?
Yeah. I mean, there's been some fantastic shows. I mean, I did this gig in Leeds. Sort of this is into the 2000s now, with the Royal Opera North Orchestra.
Oh.
And and it was like orchestral arrangements of 4 of my songs, and that was absolutely such fun to do. I mean, having an orchestra behind you, and then like massive crowd in the center of Leeds. It was just that was a great memory. I
Must
really,
be a goosebump moment with that, hearing your songs with an orchestra.
yeah, that's right. And then just now coming up to this decade, I've been living in Santa Monica here for about 10 weeks preparing for the tour, and so I went down to watch Ringo and his All Stars at the I couldn't miss that. And as soon as I got there, word came through, Ringo wanted me to join them on stage for the last two songs. So that was just like absolutely amazing
That's epic.
because I toured with Ringo in 2001. As part of the All Stars. I wouldn't be in anyone else's band, but Ringo asks you, you know,
Yes,
You're
you
there.
have to go.
You have to turn up.
I'm there. And so, you know, I ended up on stage with Ringo, and you know, at the Greek, you know, sold out show. It was just such fun, really good fun.
That sounds
Oh, the
unbelievable.
Greek is an unbelievable place to be. Did you have a chance to meet George Harrison as well? At any point?
You know, I met George Harrison once, and it was at we were invited by Princess Diana actually to go to Kensington Palace to sort of say thank you to all the artists who've taken part in the Prince's Trust concerts. And I met George Harrison there, so that was amazing to meet him, and the fact that he knew who I was. I mean, that's the other thing, the big thrill. But yeah, I did. So I met three of them. So obviously, you know, couldn't meet John, but
Right. And talking about the Beatles and being so honored to when Ringo calls you, is there an artist out there that when you met that moment that goes, oh my God, you're so and so?
yeah, I think, you know, that growing up as musicians, you always have your heroes. There's people who you will always look up to who had such a big influence. So, and it goes back to Live Aid, this, and I was making my way into the audience where the artist could sit to watch people. And as I passed the sort of bar area, this guy turned around and said, "Hello, Howard." And I realized that, you know, it's David Bowie. And he says,
Wow.
he said to me, I never remember exactly what he said. He said, "I hear you're doing really well in America. It's all right. David Bowie knows who I am and has been following my career." And so that was pretty mind blowing, I have to say. I'll always remember that moment. And you know, he was probably the biggest influence on me.
Oh, David Bowie. How many shows have you seen of Bowie over the years?
You know, not so many. I mean, I watched.
Yeah, because obviously you were on tour as well.
But
Did you have a chance to see him as a kid? You know, when you're young?
No, I didn't. I didn't see him. Did I see him as a kid? No, I didn't. But I saw his Glastonbury performance,
Okay.
which I thought was the best gig I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh no, I saw him at Milton Keynes Bowl as well, on the Glass Spider tour. Yeah. So no, yeah. So, but the Glastonbury gig was just off the scale. I mean, I was really close to the front as well. I could see it really well, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Oh,
Wow.
I saw him the Let's Dance tour, and you know,
yeah,
that alone he just brought the house down a few times I got to see him. So just an amazing artist. So
yeah, absolutely.
Steve's really jealous, aren't you?
Yeah.
Howard, you've had like these 40 amazing years. What does the future hold for you? What do you see happening in the next kind of 10 years? Have you got any kind of things on your tick list to do that you really want to kind of achieve in music still, or do you think you've kind of ticked most of them?
Yeah, I peaked.
I think
No, I do. I still have a lot of energy, and I don't like to call it ambition because that sounds sort of gross. But I'd like to, you know, we're back sort of playing the Sheds on this tour, you know, and playing those venues that I played in the 80s. So now, you know, sort of part of the Live Nation, you know, I finally got into that position. So, yeah, I'd like to continue developing the live show because I've got so many ideas. Just need the budgets to be able to do it. I want to improve as a songwriter. I want to improve as a player, and I want to improve as a communicator to the audience. So I'm not done yet, and I'm seeing it as there's lots to do, and I've still got a lot of energy for it. Yeah.
Well, you're seeing a lot of duets out there. Is there someone from this generation that you would like? Elton's doing a lot of duets. Is there someone out there that you would like to do that with, or do you hear the band singing your stuff?
No, I can't see. I mean, a lot of my songs are they're vocally quite challenging, I think. I mean, because I'm up in falsetto and then down low. Most singers like to be within a sort of range to get the sound of their voice through. Have crazy melodies that go all over the place. So maybe that's a challenge for people to want to cover my songs. But I mean, I love there's two artists that I really I find inspiring at the moment, and that's Jacob Collier, who's like just, I mean, a generational talent. I mean, he is frightening. He's the sort of person when you watch him. And I was talking to David Pace from Toto yesterday, and we both said, first time we saw him, we thought, oh, well, that's it for me. I'm giving up. I mean, it's not very often that you see an artist and you go, oh my God, he's so good, so talented. But yeah, I would love to just hang out with him for a bit and have a chat. I don't know about collaborating. He's got way too many things to do probably, but yeah.
But he'll know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. Come on, you're legendary in the 80s. I can't imagine doing a set without playing a Howard Jones song.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have songs that have become part of the culture, especially here in America. And so people often they'll hear a song, they don't know that it's me, but they know the song. And in a way, that's better, because the song's living on without you.
You know who mentioned that was Paul Carrick.
Right. Yeah.
I had him on, obviously, from the three bands he played with. He had mentioned the same thing. You'll know my voice, but you won't know my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of interesting. That's kind of how it is in radio as well. People will know my voice, or maybe, but they'll never.
We know your face, Steve. It's everywhere. Some police wall charts. Have you seen this man? Do not approach.
Oh my God, that's funny. I love that. So, do you remember like the first song that you wrote? You had mentioned that you played in school in the first band. So, when was that moment that the light went off that you were singing and playing? Like, do you remember that song?
Well, I wrote these really long, convoluted pieces, 20-minute long pieces with tempo changes and chord changes. And I used to drive the band who I was playing with completely mad. They having to learn these songs,
right?
Which was difficult. And it was sort of, very, very. It was challenging, and then I thought, actually, I'd like to simplify it a bit.
Let's go back
and write songs that possibly could be played on the radio, because the radio was, for me, I grew up listening, from the age of 9, listening to pirate radio, and that's where you wanted to be. That's where you get to the people.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a moment where I thought, right, I'm going to write things that last 4 minutes now instead of 20, and have tunes that people can remember. And I don't remember what the first song was. It was probably a version of What Is Love, actually. The primitive version of it that I polished up and got ready, to.
So there we go. The premise of our show is based in relationships. So there's the question, Howard. What is love? What does Howard Jones tell the world?
Well, I mean that's good, and people do ask me that, and it's actually in the song. It says, and maybe love is letting people be just what they want to be, and the door should always be left unlocked. If you really love somebody, then you have to let them be who they are and not try and be another version of you. So I think really, and I think it's got a broader meaning as well than in the times that we live in. Like how people want to live their life and present themselves, they should be free to do that, and that's what love is. It's really respecting and caring for what others, how they want to live. And so it's there, it's in the song, the answer.
Love the answer.
Well, my answer anyway.
I love your answer, Howard. That means I need to be nice to Steve now. Sorry, Steve.
Occasionally.
I'm so sorry.
That's funny. So what was the inspiration for that song? Did you have one?
Yeah, well, I mean, just, it's really, a lot of my work has been about questioning things and not just accepting what people have told you and the tropes and the stories that have gone on for generations. Question it all, ask the question, and what better question to ask than what is love? Because that's got so many things attached to it, and that people think, oh, romantic love and marriage, big white dress and the suit, but what is it really though? When you to really love somebody, what does it mean? And I've always wanted to ask those questions in my work. Yeah,
that's a tough question.
It is a tough question when you think about it. I think everybody can say I love you or use the word too freely as well without understanding what love is.
I love you, man. I love you, man. It doesn't work.
Doesn't. No,
it just doesn't work.
No,
anymore.
It doesn't.
Howard, it is great to have you on the show. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Actually, we are going to be at one of the Florida shows. So,
great. West Palm Beach or
West Palm Beach.
Right.
We'll be there. So we go, Steve, play a song for Steve. That'll work, right?
We'll wave.
Okay, great, brilliant, fantastic. I'm glad you're coming.
Fantastic tour.
Yeah.
So how long is the tour till?
It's till like the end of August. So.
All right, fantastic. Howard, you are always welcome back on the show. You don't even need a reservation. You just say, hey, I want to be on the show. How's that?
Well, thank you very much. And it's great talking with you. Thanks for doing the interview.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thanks, Howard. Good luck. And we will see everyone go see Howard Jones in support of Boy George and Culture Club. Oh, and don't forget, Berlin's on that tour too.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye now.